So it's been a couple of weeks since the unbelievably exciting news that Universal officially confirmed that they would be building a fully fledged Universal Studios park here in the UK. That, along with this concept art that everyone is seemingly studying to death. This and the occasional bit of trademark news like Back to the Future leaking their way out will ensure that people will be speculating for years to come on this. I have a lot of thoughts on the park and what might appear, but as I've been going over all these bits, I've built up a bit of a list of things I just need to know. So join me as I go over the 12 questions I have about this park. So in at number 1, what is the park actually going to be called? I've seen quite a few variations on the name, like Universal Studios London, Universal Studios UK, Universal Resort UK, or the most popular, Universal Studios Great Britain. I think it's a bit annoying that Universal didn't announce the official name for the park along with the concept art, so presumably this is going to be unveiled when they officially announce what the lands are going to be. Although if it's anything like Epic Universe, the internet is going to know a long time before that. Number 2. Where is CityWalk? So looking at the concept art as a whole, there's no real area which is definitely CityWalk, and so I can kind of come up with 3 possible suggestions for this. Number 1. CityWalk will be down this main street, which looks like it's styled after Hollywood. If this is the case, then the park looks like it's going to be a little bit smaller than we were hoping for, and it's going to need some kind of entrance or turnstiles either partway up or at the entrances to the lagoon on the left and right, which is just going to look ugly and it's going to cause massive overcrowding there. And so for these reasons, I don't think this is the case. Number 2. CityWalk is simply not shown on the concept art, and instead is going to be below the main entrance. So this would make sense, as it's kind of how it is in other parks. You have CityWalk first, then you walk past it, and then you get to the Universal Globe. Number 3. CityWalk isn't shown in the concept art, but is going to surround the Universal Globe in like a circle shape. This is possible as there's enough space to do this, and this building here, which looks like it's connected to the hotel, has no windows. So unless they're going to have like mega themed rooms with no windows, like the fantastically successful Star Wars hotel, terrible, it would make sense that this is basically going to be a load of shops or restaurants. And this kind of brings me on to the next question. Number 3, what is this building here? It seems a bit odd that there's just one random building here in the concept art. And as I mentioned in a previous video, to me, it just looks like Toothsome Emporium, only without the smokestack at the front. It would make sense that that's what it would be, and it would also fit in if this bit was part of CityWalk. But for the sake of fun speculation, let's pretend that it isn't Toothsome. It could be something very different to that altogether. One of my ideas was that it could contain some of the escape room attractions from CityWalk in Orlando. So, like the Back to the Future one or the Jurassic Park one. At least this would be something extra for people to do, especially localish people who haven't visited the park. I mean, if I live really close, I could definitely be tempted to nip down one evening, do an awesome themed escape room, and then go for something to eat. That's a lot of money coming in from someone who hasn't even visited the park. Seems like a no-brainer business decision to me. Number 4. What is this land? This land at the back of the park has caused so much speculation and arguments around what it could be. Some people are absolutely adamant that this is going to be some sort of Shrek land, as this building here does look like the poison apple from Shrek 2. And I totally see that, but I just don't think Shrek is either relevant enough or iconic enough anymore to get more than just a single attraction. I know that Shrek 5 is going to be released soon, but it seems like a massive gamble that this is going to reinvigorate the franchise. I think that this area of the park has been left intentionally vague, as this is going to be something that they can show off as a big reveal later on. And if they are going to have a big show-off moment, for me, it can be only one of 2 things. Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. I think if they were going to have Harry Potter, the concept art would have reflected what it will kind of eventually look like. So something like castle-y or London streety, if that makes sense. What we've got here, it's too vague to be something specific. So I think it's going to be something entirely different. I've also been saying all along that I don't think the park is going to open with Harry Potter, and absolutely nothing I've seen so far has changed my opinion. Therefore, I believe that this land will become Lord of the Rings. What it's going to look like, I have no idea. There are so many possibilities. I'm going to be going in depth into this in an upcoming video, so please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. But I will say that the land does kind of vaguely resemble part of the Shire. I'm thinking like specifically Bree, and this building could be the Prancing Pony. There is also the chance that I'm talking absolute garbage and that it's going to be, you know, something completely different, maybe like a spin-off of Dark Universe with some different monsters, or an entirely new IP altogether, nothing film related, so a bit like Celestial Park from Epic Universe. Number 5. Will there be Harry Potter? Okay, I've kind of already given my thoughts on this before. I don't think Harry Potter is going to grace our park, at least not for opening day. It's possible that it will make an experience in one of the expansion plots at a later date if they can sort out the rights issues with Warner Brothers. And also, I suspect how well the new Harry Potter series delivers and is received by fans. I know the showrunners are kind of making some controversial choices regarding casting, and I think it'd be really interesting to see if this backfires or not. It's fairly safe to say that if the series is a massive flop, then that pretty much kills the possibility of the new series appearing as a land in the park. However, it could well spark a bit of a resurgence in the original films. I suspect, however, that if we do ever see a Harry Potter land here in the UK park, it's going to be a number of years away and possibly won't even be until the supposed second gate opens, which is this plot of land here. But only time will tell on this one. Number 6. What is this land? While I can see that the previous area is definitely something on its own, this area, this one here, I cannot decide what it is. Is it part of Jurassic World? Is it part of My Lord of the Rings? Is it something else entirely? It could be any of those. I don't think it's going to be Lord of the Rings, as I believe that's going in that corner. I feel like it could well be part of Jurassic World, but the buildings don't appear to match those which are obviously reminiscent of Jurassic Park, unless the concept art is hiding something again. I think it would be really interesting if they split the Jurassic Land into two and had one half be Jurassic Park and the other half be Jurassic World. There's this big green coaster here, and it just makes me think that it could be a similar ride to Jurassic Flyers from Beijing, or like our own version of Velocicoaster, but based on a different dinosaur and idea. So maybe like the Indocoaster or the Tyrannocoaster. To be fair, whatever it is, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. There's a lot of green areas around this coaster as well, so I'd like to see something else in there rather than just green empty space. So maybe this is an opportunity to finally have a gyrosphere ride, you know, outdoor on a dinosaur safari, or to be honest, maybe that's just my wishful thinking. I'd love this building here to be kind of meet and greet, so you have like Meet Blue outside and then inside you get to meet some different dinosaurs, and like it finally builds up to the full-size T-Rex, you know, done like the same as the Jurassic World exhibition. That would be absolutely epic. On kind of a different note, quite a lot of people have mentioned that this could be a Wicked Land set in Oz with a flying broomstick coaster. I think that would fit quite nicely here with like a long swooping coaster zooming through the land. And obviously the building that I mentioned before, it looks like it's a show building in the middle, which would be absolutely a perfect spot to have an indoor theatre show, have live singers and go through the hits of Wicked. I think that that's actually a really good possibility, particularly given how big and popular the Wicked franchise is. I'm kind of torn as to which I'd prefer, to be honest. I do adore the Jurassic Park films, and everyone loves dinosaurs, but I also want the variety of different IPs as well. Number 7. What is this show? The concept art shows that this is the standard WaterWorld show, which is in most Universal parks around the world, although strangely not in Orlando. I've no idea why. If anyone knows, please let me know. So logic seems to suggest that this is going to be a carbon copy of the WaterWorld Stunt show, and I'm all for that. It's a show that I've never seen, although I really, really want to. I've intentionally not watched any footage of it, so I don't ruin it. The only thing I know is the plane coming through at the end, that's it. My only reservation about it is that it's not very new and exciting, and the IP is less than relevant now. Although to be fair, I'm not sure it was ever really super relevant, apart from making fun of it.
This better be good.
Game over. Please deposit 40 quarters.
What a rip!
A lot of folks seem absolutely certain that this is going to be a James Bond stunt show, and that this concept art is just a placeholder for it. I'd be super happy with that as well. Although I've kind of lost interest in the James Bond franchise in recent years, I really do enjoy the films and like the IP as a whole, and the thought of a big scale fight with the Bond music and gadgets and cars does get me really excited. I think it's an IP that's never going to go away, and if they add elements from multiple films, it gets kind of like an iconic status so that it doesn't really age and it will stay a classic. I can imagine big explosions and shooting and bullets and maybe like the corkscrew jump or the Lotus diving into the water. But I've also thought that it could be a placeholder for something else. Maybe it's to hide the rest of this land, the Lord of the Rings land. And this is actually going to be another big dark ride with a big icon, like the Tower of Isengard or Barad-dûr or Minas Tirith. And my possible reasoning for this kind of stems from the next question. Number 8. What is this building? This building here. At first, I thought it was kind of attached to the back of a shop. And then I thought, it could be like a large indoor themed restaurant with the entrance facade here. But I think it's more likely that it's either going to be a small dark ride or more likely a show. And my theory is that this is going to be the James Bond show. But for this to make sense, the arena stunt show can't be James Bond. I think the facade at the front kind of looks like the tropical huts used in the beginning of Casino Royale I can't remember what country it is, but it's that tropical location. And I'd guess that this is kind of what a lot of people have been asking for, which is the Bourne Stuntacular, but with James Bond. I think the screen and the merge of practical effects is absolutely inspiring in that, and I think this could be truly wonderful if they use James Bond and add all the right touches to it. Or, alternatively, the proper blue sky wishful thinking inside of me noticed that the buildings around this entrance look kind of like Amity Island from Jaws, especially the old Jaws ride in Orlando or still there in Japan. So I would love this to be something Jaws related. A modern, updated and indoor version of Jaws would just blow my mind. And I know it's not likely to happen. Odds are it will be the James Bondtacular. I really need to work on that name. Drop some better names in the comments for me, please. Number 9. What about the bad weather in this country? Now, obviously, the UK is not renowned for its glorious weather and fantastic climate. In fact, if you ask someone from anywhere other than the UK to name things about the UK, they will probably say cups of tea, fish and chips, bad weather. And while a lot of the time it does seem that rain is the order of the day, in fact, it's not even just rain, it's drizzle, the most pathetic of all rain, but somehow has the ability to get you absolutely soaked without you realising it. We do actually get some pretty nice weather at times, usually springtime and a couple of weeks in the summer and a bit of a warm spell in the autumn. All the other times it's usually cold, rainy, windy, snowing, or a combination of any or all of those. So how is the park going to work in a climate like this? Well, a few things that we've got to note here. While people usually think of Florida or California when you mention Universal Studios, there are other parks in the world that don't have amazing climates. Japan and Beijing, they're both often rainy or cold or covered in snow, so it's not unprecedented. It's also worth noting that Florida has its fair share of weather-related issues as well. Dealing with extreme heat can be just as challenging as cold and rain, and Florida has daily thunderstorms at times of the year, as well as hurricanes and tornadoes, so it isn't as idyllic as some people make out. But here in the UK, we're going to have to cope with cold and rain, and lots of it. So the first point is that a lot of the rides will be indoor dark rides. When you look at the concept art, it looks like there are some flat rides, the drop towers in the Jurassic Park land, and the 2 big coasters which are outdoors, one of which looks like it's got indoor scenes anyway. Oh, and the stunt show at the top, which would likely be undercover anyway if that's what it is. The second part is that Universal often themes the queues to be part of the experience as well, and the best way to do this is to have them inside. So a lot of the time when you're just standing and queuing, you're going to be in the warm and dry. This land at the back, which I'm obviously leaning towards thinking it's going to be Lord of the Rings, could well be mainly inside, kind of like the Kung Fu Panda land of awesomeness in Beijing, and Minion Land here is very indoorsy. So yes, if you want to walk around the park or go from one land to another, then it is outside, and you might get rained on, or a bit cold. but you'd get that going shopping in town anyway. The only way to get around this would be to have the entire park inside, which just isn't feasible. I genuinely don't see the weather being a big issue at all. Yes, days with terrible weather will get less footfall than glorious summer days, but that's the same for anywhere, to be honest. Number 10. Will there be Halloween Horror Nights? Well, Universal have already filed the trademark for Halloween Horror Nights for theme park use in this country, so it looks very positive. Obviously, no one except Universal can say for definite, but given the UK's apparent lust for all things horror related and our ever-increasing thirst for horror events, it's very likely that Halloween Horror Nights will be here, trying to take the top spot of the UK's #1 horror event, which, realistically, should be pretty straightforward. Yes, we already have some great events, but nothing compares to the scale and quality of a fully fledged Halloween Horror Nights. Number 11. Will there be a nighttime spectacular? I think that there will be a nighttime show, of sorts, but like in Orlando, it's going to be seasonal. I can't see the park staying open until like 11 PM during the summer just to ensure that it's fully dark before a show goes on. I think that the most likely kind of show is going to be something similar to the Cinesational show, where pictures and films are projected onto a giant fountain in the lagoon, with a few fireworks thrown in. I'd love to see drones used here well, and I think that if Universal are trying to go for the throat of Disneyland Paris, they're going to need to do something pretty special. The drones in Disneyland Paris are fantastic, and they add a completely different aspect to the shows. But for me, nothing beats the big booming fireworks, like in Magic Kingdom or Epcot. I can't see Universal using a lot of fireworks on a regular basis. They may do some big shows a few times a year, like Bonfire Night, which is the 5th of November for non-UK people. And maybe they could lean into the American side of things, do something big for the 4th of July and Thanksgiving. I think that they may well do some area-specific shows as well. These seem to be all the rage at the minute. Something like when Disneyland Paris do a show projected onto the Tower of Terror, or the Hogwarts Castle show, or the new Star Wars show in Galaxy's Edge. Imagine how special it could be to have a Lord of the Rings show projected onto an icon like Minas Tirith with, the music swelling in the background. I think I would genuinely get tears in my eyes from watching that. So in a nutshell, yes, I think there will be multiple nighttime shows. Just maybe not every night. Number 12. How will other parks react to Universal? Well, I'll be honest, this is a really big question, and again, I'm probably going to delve into this in a standalone video, but here are my initial thoughts in a nutshell. Merlin, so primarily Alton Towers and Thorpe Park, I don't think they will do anything very different. To me, they are not direct competitors to Universal Studios. They're going to be potentially well under half the cost of a ticket to Universal. Alton Towers and Thorpe Park focus their efforts on providing cheapish thrill rides in comparison, which they tend to do very well. They have basic theming around the lands and attractions. Universal Studios provides world-class theming, with groundbreaking ride systems, usually focusing on dark rides to provide truly immersive ride experiences. It's a very different prospect for me. I think, given the recent cutbacks from Merlin, I would love to see them invest much more money in the build-up to Universal opening. Obviously, they've got a few years to go. The main things that Merlin needs to do for me is spruce up their parks, make them tidy, give them a lick of paint, get them looked after, and please, for the love of all things holy, sort the ride operations out. I've heard much better stuff this year, but they've still got a long way to go. I think that they might also have some new big rides opening in the run-up to Universal Studios opening, and then maybe kind of ignore it for the year that it opens, and then maybe some more the year after to try and bring people back to those parks. Like I said, in a nutshell, I think Merlin are going to basically keep doing what they're doing. And you know what? That's okay. There's a big market for that. So I wish them all the best. I think some of the smaller parks like Drayton Manor, Poulton Park, again, they're not really in direct competition, so I think they're going to carry on doing their own thing. And again, I wish them all the best of luck. Disney. This is the one that's most interesting. I think that Universal Studios in this country has been a long time in the making, and Disney have known about this for a long time. I think you can see that Disney, as a whole in the theme park industry, are massively on the back foot against Universal at the minute, and they're now trying to claw their way back. I think for too long they've seen themselves as the top dog and that they're untouchable, and Epic Universe has changed that dynamic. It looks like in Florida, for the first time, they are actually worried. They have been stripping experiences from their parks and charging guests more for less year after year, and it looks like it's coming back to bite them in the bum. There was that internal report where Disney themselves acknowledged that Disney trips were too expensive, and now you're starting to see things slowly come back, like the dining plan and now possibly even the Magical Express. They're starting to add new lands to their parks and expanding like no point in the last 20 years. And while Universal are opening an entirely new theme park with, pardon the pun, epic theming and rides, on the same day, Disney have fired back with a new story on Smuggler's Run.
You serious?
Wow. Bravo, Disney. Well done. Even Disneyland Paris is starting to get overhauled. They're having new sections to their studios park. The Frozen area is set to open, soon. There's the Lion King land coming soon. I can see something else is likely to come about as well to take the place of the cancelled Star Wars Galaxy's Edge area. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see Disney announce a new theme park in the next couple of years. I think either in Florida or possibly a third gate at Disneyland Paris. I think we could be about to enter a new era for the theme park industry. An era of fierce competition which would result in what is effectively an arms race to build bigger, better, more immersive rides, which can only be a good thing. So, those are the questions that I've had about the new Universal Studios park in the UK, along with some potential answers from myself. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these and whether you think I'm just talking gobbledygook.
Oh no, sir, that's gobbledygook.
Let me know what you reckon in the comments, along with any questions that you have. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to see my future videos. And as always, hopefully, I'll see you out there.